In the Zone podcast, brought to you by Zone 6. I'm Elijah Johnson.
I'm Brandon Davis, and today our guest is none other than Jim. Pleasure having you with us.
For sure.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy to be here.
I say Jim because a lot of people aren't known by a one-name basis as we learned today. You are known as Jim, and everybody knows you. You're a known person. How does it feel to be Jim?
The truth of the matter is, I think I go by three different things. I know how you know me based on how you reference me.
Mm-hmm.
If you call me James, which was my given name,
Mm-hmm.
you probably met me, in school, in grade school. If you call me Jimmy, you're probably a good friend, somebody who I grew up with. And if you call me Jim, you probably know me just through the basketball world.
Okay.
So I guess I got three personalities.
Three different people.
Well, we want to get right into it. Where did you start coaching at? We want to know more of the Jim, the coach.
Okay, I was a very average athlete, and so I started coaching early. Believe it or not, as a 14-year-old, I coached the team that I got cut from.
Oh wow!
I got cut. Then the coach, within the next 2 weeks, couldn't do it anymore, and I was going to the boys' club in Paterson, and I wound up coaching what we called like an intramural. It was an intramural league. We called it a house league.
Mm-hmm.
And my team went undefeated and won the championship.
Oh wow!
So I got kind of turned on that way, and then I was looking forward to the next year, and I saw myself recruiting people like, you got to join the boys club because I want to win this thing. So that's actually the origin of me coaching. But I've been around the sport for a long time because as a little kid I was a manager for a high school team and. Always listened to coaches and stuff, and I would sit on the bench as a 10, 11, 12-year-old and say, "Yo, that's not what the coach told him. That guy's not a good player." Like, so I just remember seeing the game that way, early.
Wow. Yeah, that's big. You don't really hear about that many people that young taking a liking to
14,
the coaching aspect of basketball rather than the actual playing part of it.
Well, when you've been 5'9" since the 7th grade, I was this big in the 7th grade. I thought I was gonna be like a 6-footer, 6'5" dude or whatever. It's just stopped. I don't know what it was, but that's how it went.
So where did that 14-year-old coaching mindset, where did that take you as far as like high school coaching or anything other than coaching the intramural team in Paterson?
What happened was we at the boys club, we wanted to take our all-star team and put it into other leagues, and because I was basically the same age as the dudes I was coaching, we wound up putting us like in intramural leagues for high schools and stuff, and I was coaching that during the off season, and it just blossomed from that. I guess my first official coaching job was baseball though.
Wow.
And I was coaching my cousins. They were only like 5 years younger than me, and I was 18. I was the youngest guy in our little league coaching those guys.
Wow.
So it blossomed from that, and then I got attached to the kids, and I wanted to follow them to football. And the head coach of the local football team knew I knew kids, so he basically used me just to get players.
Recruiter.
And he had me coaching defensive ends and wideouts, and it was just a matter of, I remember this clear as day right now. All I had to teach was shuffle, and turn the guy in, close him in. So even now when I hear my friends talking about football, I'm like, man, the defensive end didn't close him in. So that was in the early, the mid 80s, and at Eastside. And the athletic director was also the head basketball coach. I had known him anyway. And so when he saw me out, on a football field doing it, he said, man, I'm going to get this guy to come over to, and do the basketball team. So my first high school job in basketball was as an assistant freshman coach. And then mid-season, the freshman coach, the head guy, couldn't do it. So I wound up being a coach. And, I mean, that was like 33, 34 years ago. And now I'm just
And that was 18, 19 years old?
I was 18.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
How'd that team do?
That team finished strong. The next year, when I knew I was going to be the coach, we went 27-1.
Sheesh.
You know, we lost the championship though.
When it started early.
Yeah, but I went out and loaded it up, man. I went out and got some dudes.
Oh, you was recruiting
Yeah,
there?
absolutely. They didn't have to instruct me or nothing. I just knew, you know, to go get. And Eastside was big at that point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was the end of, like, Mr. Clark was there. And he was, man, if you was bringing kids in the Eastside, he was supporting you.
Yeah.
So I would call him up. Look, you got to close this deal for me. We got to get this dude. You got to call his parent. And he was just starting to blow up, so it was kind of easy, you know, to get people to come. So
Yeah.
that helped. That helped big time.
That's what's up. So fast forward, you went to PC, correct?
Paterson Catholic, yes. Yes.
How was it down there? Do you got any great experiences from there?
I got a lot of great experience with Paterson Catholic. I got the job because the same guy, his name is Lou Mathis, who gave me the job as the Eastside football assistant, became the head football coach at Paterson Catholic.
Okay.
So he used to always reference me as the Pied Piper. So he started, you know, giving the people at Paterson Catholic my name. And their coach wound up leaving. So he gave me a call and said, look, Jim, this job is going to open up. You got to get your resume together, whatever, you know. So at that time, I had already been working 5-star basketball camp, which today is like the Nike EYBL. If you want to just compare, you know, the influence that it had on the game. And so I'd been working there maybe like 2 or 3 years. The director there took a liking to me, and I told him, I said, look, I'm up for a head job. And I was only 24 at the time. And I had letters from Rick Pitino, Mike Krzyzewski, Hubie Brown. You know, all these people had sent we sent 55 letters in.
Those are your recommendation letters?
Yes,
Wow.
yes. I'm 24 years old,
Wow.
and I only met maybe out of the 55. I probably only met 25 other people. But that guy, his name was Howard Garfinkel. He had so much influence that he told those guys to write letters, and they hand wrote the letters and sent them in. So when I went in for my interview, the principal pulled out a shoebox and said, "Look, we got all of these letters about you. Who are you?" And you know, so just from that, you know, I was able to get the job. Also, I was coaching an AAU type team, an 8th grade team, and on that team there were like 10 Division I players. 9 of them were in the 8th grade, and then Tim Thomas was a 7th grader. And so when I first went there, I took those 9 8th graders with me, and that started to turn the program around. Then when I got there, I ran a basketball camp 2 months after getting the job. We had never had an official basketball camp in our town.
Wow.
And the first day I had the head coach of Rutgers as the speaker. The next day I had Bob Hurley, who had just won a national championship, and as a speaker. So in the newspaper was covering it, and so this was like out of nowhere, we were just blowing up because we were getting a lot of ink, a lot of attention. So then some of the local kids in Paterson wanted to transfer over, and we were just like the thing to do at that time for if you were a baller. The camp was buzzing. You know, they knew that our kids were going to 5-star camp, and we were involved in all that stuff. And you know, we just became the you know, if you want to play basketball, Jim's the plug. You know, let's get that rolling.
Yeah, so you mentioned the basketball aspect of Paterson Catholic. It's crazy that both sports, well, not just multiple sports, but football and basketball were both being dominated by Paterson Catholic at one point in time. How was it like being a powerhouse and like, you know, just like that was just like a melting pot of greatness, really?
Well, I loved it. I mean, I became the athletic director in my last 2 years, you know, being there. I was only there for 5 years. So when we hired Benji Wimberly to be the football coach, when I was a little league coach and doing all that stuff, he was always my assistant. So Like, so I knew he was going to come and he was going to be a Pied Piper in football and get it done. He was already the varsity baseball coach at Eastside, so he had, his coaching, he was respected, as a coach. Okay. So when he came over, like, we in town gave Paterson Catholic athletic credibility. Prior to Lou Mathis being there, they had some good players over the years, but they never had a conglomerate of dudes. The guys that had went to PC prior to Lou or myself or Benj went because maybe Eastside or Kennedy were just too crowded and I can't get my numbers, so I'm gonna go over here. Okay. We were able to get help. Like my first year there, I got probably 7 of the top 8 players in the city to come to Paterson Catholic. Then the next year we got the very best kid, and then the other kid that we got was 6'9", walking in the door, freshman. So like this didn't, and basketball don't take long. It really don't. It don't. Football, you need some dudes. But getting Benj, like I said, he had some young coaches also who were out in the streets in different areas and getting guys to come in, and the school had like a 20-year dominance in athletics.
So being so dominant, right, while you were coaching, was it easier? Like, did everything just come easy to as being a head coach? Was everything just smooth sailing, basically? Did you have to go through any hard days, hard practices, yelling, screaming?
Oh, absolutely, but that's just my nature.
Yeah, that's who you are.
Wait a minute, what do you mean getting recruiting, especially at that time, was kind of easy. Okay. When you listening to the same music and have the same interests as the players are going to relate to you. Yeah. Like I'm now Grandpa Jim. Okay, at one point I was friend Jim. Then I was big brother Jim. Then I was daddy Jim. Now I'm almost like Grandpa Jim. Yeah. So and like I have no interest in listening to mumble rap and all that other stuff. But I think the core values that we originated with, I still try to have those with me now. So I'm getting recommendations from guys who I've coached who are bringing me their kids now. Wow. So that to me is one of the biggest rewards in coaching, that if you coach somebody that they want their kid now to experience what they experienced. You have that big of an impact in their life. Yeah, I mean, I think Benji's probably at that point too. All the guys from that era, like, we're looked at now as relics in a sense. And in a way that's good, that there's a new wave. But like when we started, there weren't people that looked like me and were young that were coaching and getting jobs. Yeah. Okay, so we were far and few between.
It's like a maverick for us.
Right, yes, exactly. Like we were far and few between. So we, I think other people started saying, yo, man, we got to get younger with coaches, and we got to find guys that are literally from the community to do it. And I mean, one day, during COVID, I was just thinking about it, and I got over 50 former players that are in some form of coaching or administrating athletic programs. Excuse me. And if you think about everything, I'm not big on being honored or that kind of stuff, but having a former player recommend that you take his son, or having those guys reference you, that's honestly now, looking back at it, that's the biggest reward.
But you are a big dog. I hope you know that. You are.
I mean, that's what you say. I mean,
you can sit up here and be humble.
No, bro. Like, see, this is one thing I always say. Like, how do you prove an untruth? Like how can, it's almost impossible. Yeah. Wow. Like, there are people who think that I'm like rich, that I got this money. Okay, I was born in the 60s. Like, what am I doing? Waiting until I'm 80? Then I'm gonna
just splurge.
Right. So like, I mean, if it was there, trust me, you would have seen it by now. You would have seen it by now. So I mean, there ain't no truth in that, but people like to say that. I mean, you can't be in the business without haters. Okay, so that just comes with the territory, and I accept it. But if making money was the goal, this ain't the profession. Yeah. This really isn't the profession.
Yeah. So another thing before we get off the Paterson Catholic train, there's with being a powerhouse, there comes a atmosphere that's unlike any other. And I remember watching old YouTube videos of you really couldn't even tell if people were standing up or sitting down. So just talk to us about the atmosphere of back playing in that era.
PC game.
Okay, we had an argument. Like, I was getting advice from real big dogs, like the guy from 5 Star and a guy named Sonny Vaccaro, who's the creator of grassroots basketball. And so while these people were trying to advise me, I got these dudes in my ear telling me, look, man, get out of that league. Go independent, and we'll make sure you can take the team around the country. But you got to go through a lot of bureaucracy to get released, because when you're dealing with schools, you can't just take the basketball program out of the league. What is a softball team going to do? What is a football team going to do? Where are they going to get their opponents from? So it took almost 3 years of trying to coax the league into saying, look, nobody's benefit. The other team isn't benefiting from playing us, and we sure aren't benefiting from this. And you almost we had to go to meetings and saying, like, do you want us to beat people by 100? Yeah. I said, it's not fair, that we got big time players, but they can only play half the game, because if they stayed in longer, the people in the stands would be like, I don't believe he still got his starters in. But they come to practice. Yeah. Like, what are you supposed to do? So I'm like, look, man, to just help everybody out, let us go. And then finally we made a proposal that said, we'll compromise. We don't want the league title. We'll give you every game, and we'll play away, okay, at their place, because we were the talk of the town. Yeah. They can get the gate. We'll come to them. But that second game, when they're supposed to come to us, let us free. Let us be free to go and get our own games. And when they did that, we were able to bring St. Raymond's, who was a really good team at the time, and other type of games in. So now when I wanted to go into the Passaic County tournament, which we did want to do, the county kind of resented the fact that we were playing those games. And 1 year, they didn't let us in. So what I started doing, again, now I'm like 26, 27. You couldn't tell me anything at this point. I said, you ain't going to let us in? Okay. I see when they scheduled their games, we scheduling our game at the same time, and we're going to bring Felipe Lopez in town. Or we're going to bring this. And we got standing room only, and they got crickets. So we were doing stuff like that. And, I mean, I really wish that now this is the 50-year-old Jim talking. I really wish I didn't do it that way, because there's some people that still, to this day, haven't forgiven us. Yeah, of course. That's the dude that tried to show up. So, but by doing those kinds of things, though, we introduced a mindset to our area, because in the 80s and the 90s, everything basketball-wise revolved around the Passaic County tournament and going to Eastside Kennedy or Tech. Then Don Bosco was able to get in there. And I remember when I first got the job, to me, I said, look, all I want to do is play that week before the championship in the Passaic County. I want to be one of the Final Four teams. Then we'll have arrived. To me, that was my arrival.
Basically.
Right, and then but by hanging out with Vaccaro and Garfinkel and those guys, and they expose you, to this other world of what's going on. I'm like, man, that's
ain't nothing.
That's not what we got. Yeah. We supposed to be over there with them. Yeah. This is what we supposed to be doing. So that was huge. That was huge. And I still think that mindset is currently going on in our town, in our area even. Not even, I think it's gone beyond Paterson, just with, the emergence. Paterson Catholic and St. Pat's kind of grew together, and then the people that replaced me did a better job than I did. Those guys, they really ascended it and went on. They started winning national tournaments and stuff. So, I'm happy that the chain of command at Paterson Catholic all was family. It was guys that came from the same cut. And we were all friends. So even though we fight like cats and dogs amongst each other,
that's what brothers do, though.
Exactly. up until it's closing. And the sad part, when they were closing, like Isaiah Briscoe was on his way to Paterson Catholic. He was in the 8th grade. They had, the coach then, Damon Wright, had like 4 or 5 great dudes coming. I mean, and they were going to really take off. They had just won like the City of Palms tournament, which is one of the biggest Christmas tournaments you could go to. And I mean, it was about to happen. But unfortunately, school closed.
It was a legendary school. Another legendary thing that is attached to your name is players basketball. I know personally, when I got introduced to players basketball, I played with a kid named Reggie Cameron, and we had probably one of the best Hackensack teams that Hackensack has had, and as far as like a superstar team or whatever. We lost 2 games, and both of those games we lost, Reggie had a players game. So when I first heard of players, it's like, why does he keep disappearing? But then when you start to realize like where he was going and who he was playing with, you're like, okay, I understand. So could you please talk to us about how it came about and how it's come to be such a powerhouse nationally?
It's amazing the origin of it, and it all started flukishly. After my 5th year at Paterson Catholic, I went and coached at Villanova. Tim Thomas was playing at Nova. They put me on the staff. I wonder why. But they, at the end of the year, I remember we lost to California in the NCAA tournament, and like there were other guys, Chuck Cornegay, Alvin Williams, Jason Lawson, all those guys were thinking about going pro. I mean, or they were seniors, and Tim was young, and could have gone right out of high school. To be very, very honest, he could have gone right out of high school. He wanted to go to college. And I remember the next day, he said, man, I got to do it. I got to go. So I said, okay. I didn't enjoy being a college coach. And during the year, I was always calling Jerome Smart, who was the high school coach at Paterson Catholic. I was more concerned about what was going on at Paterson Catholic than I was going on in college. And honestly, the truth of that was I was pissed off that I wasn't in charge. Because I had been in charge since 14. Okay, I was head coach at 14. So this was the first time really that, and at that point you couldn't tell me that I didn't know everything that you needed to know. Exactly. So I called Sonny Vaccaro, and he was very good friends with Jay Wright, the current Villanova coach. Okay. But at that time, Jay was at Hofstra. So he said, look, I don't want you, Tim's leaving. You're going to go to Hofstra and be an assistant coach. I said, what do you mean I'm going to Hofstra? He said, no, he says, you're not enjoying that experience. And, so we're going to put you out in Hofstra. You're going to be one of their top assistants. You're going to be in charge of recruiting. Now, Sonny's telling me all of this. But you got to go you got to go officially interview. I go to the Hofstra interview. Jay was great, but he was talking. Now, this is why he's still good right now. Look, we're in the office, 8 o'clock. We're working out as a staff from 8 to 9 every morning. Then from 9 o'clock, we're going to go check on the kids, and we're doing this. We're doing it. Man, he had a full day's regiment on what you were doing as a coach. Yeah. And when I was at Nova had it going. Like, they didn't have to put in that kind of work in order, to get stuff done. People want to go to Villanova. So when you're in a mid-major school, you got to outwork the heavyweights in order to get the same result. And he was talking this work stuff, man, work. And I'm now like 30, 31, and I'm like,
I already put in all the hard work.
So, but he didn't offer me the job. He never offered it to me. Just, okay, Jim, I got a couple other people to interview, but we'll talk about it. I leave the interview on my way home. There's no cell phones at this point, but I got a SkyTel pager about this big. Boom. And it was Sonny Vaccaro. He hit me, said, call me now. So I pull over, and I'm at a payphone, and I call him collect. How'd it go? And I'm like, how'd it go? He said, the interview. I said, well, I mean, he didn't offer me the job, but, the stuff he was talking about, man, I don't even know if I want to do this. He said, what do you mean? I said, man, he talking about I got to exercise and make sure I'm in great. Man, I ain't trying to do all of this, Sonny. And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna make you an AAU coach. I said, what? He said, we're gonna get a team in North Jersey. Just go do what you've been doing, and I'm gonna pay you. And it was about 15 to almost 20,000 more than I was making at Villanova to be an AAU coach. So I'm like, Sonny, are you serious? I'm like, are you? I said, no, tell me now if you're serious. I said, because I'm in New York coming from Hofstra. So I'm not even going to stop in Jersey. I'm going right to Philly, and I'm getting my stuff, and I'm leaving. He says, nah, that's what we're going to do. So I said, no problem.
I'm out of
I
here.
went in. So coach was like, how'd it go? I said, it was good, man, but I've got a box with me. I said, but I'm putting stuff in the box. He said, you got a job? I said, no, I didn't get that job. He said, but I'm going to go work for Sonny Vaccaro and Adidas, and I'm going to work for ABCD camp. He said I was going to be one of his prime recruiters for that, and he's going to let me get an AAU team. So when we got the team, the first year, it was called Tim Thomas AC. We went and played in this big tournament in Vegas, and I got most of the players from ABCD camp, guys who weren't attached to AAU teams.
Were they all from like North Jersey? Most of the players?
Most of them.
Okay.
Yeah, most of them. But the best player at the time was Deshaun Williams. He and a kid named Del Bethea. Del now works for the Brooklyn Nets. He's a workout guy. Deshaun got some kids. He's now getting into coaching too.
Okay.
And they were the first team, and that's who I was really, because I had coached them also at Paterson Catholic. That one year I was gone, they became like the best players there. So now Jerome was going to be the high school coach. I was going to be the AAU coach. And we named the team Tim Thomas AC, which stood for Athletic Club. So now, after that, we were mediocre at best, but we go to a meeting in Vegas with the other AAU teams, and there was a guy named Darren Kalish who eventually replaced Sonny. He said, you got to think of a name. And he was wearing a pair of Pure Players jeans, which in 97, I guess, was cool.
It's cool, yeah.
Okay. So, and I said, Players. And I believe it or not, my dad's a pastor. I grew up in church, and at my church, we had a choir. Our organist's name was Lloyd Reese, and he had a group called the Lloyd Reese Singers. So I said, okay, I want to incorporate Tim's name, and I like this thing Players, so maybe we could just call it the Tim Thomas Players. There's a play on the name Players versus Players. Yeah. They had just opened a store in our town with Players, and they sold like
athletic wear.
Not only athletic wear, but like contemporary wear, urban wear, and stuff. So I said, okay, this might work. So Darren sat there and drew some letters up, and we got some cool shirts with the logo on it, and that's where the name came from. And we did it for a long time, and it became the thing. Now it's difficult because back then to play AAU, I would say up until about 2010, to play AAU, you really, really had to be a good player.
Yeah, for sure.
The other people have seen AAU and felt like that was their way to get their kid in. And so if they couldn't get them on a feature team, then you just started making up your own teams. And now there's so many teams that it's not as elite. The genre, isn't as elite as it was. I mean, there's still some better circuits and stuff, but back in like the late 90s and the early 2000s, man, the teams were unbelievable. Like the ninth man on your team might have been an Atlantic 10 player. Now they make teams for Division 2 and 3 guys. Yeah. So I mean, and that's not putting Division 2 and 3 guys down, but I'm just saying
it's just the level is different.
The eliteness of it is no longer what it was.
Which team do you think was the best team that you can remember off the top of your head?
For the players?
Yes.
Okay, because like they talk about the greatest AAU team of all time, and that was Tim Thomas, Vince Carter, Kevin Freeman, Kobe, Rodney Rogers, Vincent Mitchell. people say Rich Hamilton played, but he never wore that uniform. Just somehow that got confused. But Vince, Kobe, and Tim definitely were on. But that was not a players team. At that time, that team was just called Paterson. And we just went on corners with tin cans and raised money
trying to get
go
money
places. The best players team probably was the team with Wayne Ellington, Gerald Henderson, Earl Clark. All three of those guys were McDonald Americans in the same year. So that was probably the best team. The 99 team.
Was that 05? Was like 2005 around there?
That was 06.
6? Okay.
06. They're the class of 06.
Yeah.
So maybe it was 05. But, I mean, we had Kyle Lowry, J.R. Smith, Sean Singletary on one team. Some other people that were on the team. That, like, we had two guys. One guy went to Duke and one guy went to Stanford. Dave McClure, who's now an NBA assistant coach at the Grizzlies, and Taj Finger, who's an assistant coach at Loyola, Maryland, on one team. I mean, again, those teams were 9, 10 Division I players.
Literally everybody, the whole roster.
Yes. And they were killing for a spot.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
So,
like, it's difficult to put those kind of teams together now because even if your team is good, everybody wants their shine.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's.
Let's be honest, he got soft.
Oh, who I got soft?
No.
I mean,
Like,
but
everything
I
got
too,
soft.
I got yes.
Everything
I
got
did
soft.
too. Because there was a time in the 90s and the 2000s when I was that recruiting guru, but that's when I was this, of age.
Okay,
we could do that kind of stuff. As I got older, I started worrying about different things, about what's the long-lasting effect of this and how we're affecting kids and what that stuff is. And in no way, shape, or form am I trying to be Mr. Perfect. Try to say that, I want a good player, I'm going to go get him. Yeah. But it wasn't life or death anymore. Mm-hmm. It wasn't. Okay. I mean, and like even after we won the EYBL in 2014, in order for us to win that year, I basically had to give my life up. I basically
dedicate your whole life to.
I had 3 or 4 kids that were basically living with me during the week because they were going to local schools.
Yep.
And then they would go home on the weekends. So you gotta give up a whole lot of you, and that took a lot. 2014 took a lot out of me, and the sacrifice. And I said to myself then that I'm not really long for the day in, day out of this anymore. Okay. Yeah. So that's when I decided to take the job at Immaculate. Because I said, this AAU stuff, you got 12 and under all the way up. You got 75 parents, 75 kids, which means you got 150 parents. Okay, and dealing with parents today isn't the same as it was dealing with them in the 90s. And that's in high school and AAU and in anything. I'm not a parent, but I don't blame the parents for taking a position in their kids' lives. But when you got to deal with this phone call and that phone call, and it becomes tiring. Okay, sure. And you mess around and you look at your birth certificate and you 50.
That's the truth.
I just told somebody I missed 14 straight Mother's Days. Because of an AAU tournament. Wow. Which will never happen again. I don't care what the deal is. That just ain't happening no more. I missed my mom's birthday 9 out of 10 years because of AAU. Wow. Either was a meeting or something. And where does the time go? Okay, and the kids, they graduate, they move on, they go on to bigger and better things. And I'm still here coaching those guys. So what I wanted to do was to be able to, eventually set it up where, another breed of coach could take over. Okay. Because again, a lot of people helped build the players, and in no way, shape, or form, but it was me and these 3 guys, or me and those 2 guys, or me and these 5 guys. So the common denominator in all of that was me. So I'm the one with the
everything
history.
Falls back on you.
Like other people could say that they got the name or whatever, but they don't have the history. They don't know the stories. They don't know which kid or whatever. They know, okay, we got over 300 Division I players. We got 19 McDonald Americans or whatever the heck it is. But like, I know each kid. I know each story. I know each thing. And again, maybe there'll be more stories or new stories. But, again, I went to Immaculate because I said, now I only got to deal with 10. Okay, I still need a basketball fix in my life. So if I'm only dealing with 10 as opposed to 75, okay, I'm at a point now, man, where I like to have practice, come home, and watch Sanford and Son. You know, and like that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that
So-
answers one of the questions though of how was the transfer of coaching AAU to high school? I guess you'll say
Yeah,
it's
like
much
transition.
easier. It's much easier on you, correct?
Easier because the demand, you don't have to travel.
Mm-hmm.
You're sleeping in your own bed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the kids, you get an opportunity to be more of a factor in the kid's life as a high school coach. No matter what you say in AAU, you still, regardless of what the age gap is, you're still big bro, you know, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
In high school, you get an opportunity to be Coach Jim, in a sense.
Okay, I get it.
And so we now can have a real conversation about your grades. Whereas in AAU, yo man, y'all doing what you're supposed to do? They say, yeah.
All right.
All right, man. You know,
All you care about really is winning.
It's on that level. But here now, I'm getting an email every day from a principal or a guidance counselor. So-and-so didn't do this. So-and-so is asleep on remote.
More hands
Class
on.
ended. He's
Man.
still there. He's still in class 25 minutes later because he's knocked out. You know, I'm dealing with those kind of issues now. And I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really, I love my team. I love the kids. I love their families because in the high school situation, I used to always make this comparison. AAU is like shacking up. High school is like being married. Because if you're living with a woman that you're not married to, man, it don't take anything really but a big fight.
Yeah.
And you know what? You get your
Throw
stuff,
everything on.
I'm going to get my stuff, and we just going our separate ways.
Yeah.
And hey, man, you have one bad tournament. Man, I ain't playing with these cats no more.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing stopping you. I don't care what the time investment is or the commitment. There's nothing saying you can't go over there and play next weekend.
Yeah, that's the truth.
In high school, okay, now you got to go in and get a transcript. In most places, they're going to sit you down and you're going to have to end. Like, why are you leaving? You know, you getting that. You don't have just the authority. Say, we out. Just give me my stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, school mess around, can't find your stuff. Okay, so,
That's the truth.
okay, so you know, I'm just saying. You're going to have to talk to somebody. So it's more of you got to get a transfer. You got to fill out some papers. You got to get a divorce. It's more like being married.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think that the commitment level on a high school is purer, you know, or it's more thought put in by the family as to that we're going to do this than it is, you know, from an AAU standpoint.
How was it winning the Essex County championship?
I mean, it was big in the sense that we should have won it the 2 years before that, and we wound up losing it. Man, it was like it was such a hindrance. Like we kicked the door down finally. I was hoping that we would have one this year. We're not, because I think we have one of the best teams in Essex County. And you know, but now this year is just about games.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was very happy for the school because the school had never won that before. And now the girls basketball team is really good. The boys football program made it to the States last year for the first time in a while. And then, you know, the boys won the Essex County tournament. So the school is enjoying a resurgence.
Gave it like a jolt.
Enrollment is up. You know, kids want to be there. And I recognize that I'm a bridge for the school in a sense to a particular community. And I want to make sure that we can continue to try to get those guys in. The girls coach is doing the same thing. We've got to make a decision because of COVID. We didn't have football this year. So now we if we're going to do it, we got to restart. So, you know, like I said, with basketball, man, you don't need a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
You get 3 or 4 guys, man, you rolling.
Some dogs, yep.
Football, you know, you got to get some bodies.
You need at least
You need some
11. Yeah.
You know, so it's a little different. But the winning the county for the school was it was a great thing, and the alumni came out of the woodworks for it, and they were very, very celebrative about it.
All right. One of our last questions. You stated that you've been coaching for a while. You've been around the game of basketball for a while. How do you feel the state of the black coaches right now? How do you feel this? How do you feel the state of like just the African American view in coaching? How do you feel like how that is now and how it was before?
I mean, I still think that regardless to the sport, we still get hired professionally because we're cool with somebody that's important on the team. I don't think that they recognize us for X and O's or for being the face of a program.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not on a professional level. So, so I think it's better than it's been. But as I tried to tell one of my players today, every week, man, we always have these conversations. And I try to have conversations before games that have nothing to do with basketball. So today, the conversation, one of the kids started it, and they said, "Coach, are you a proud American or are you a proud African American?"
Wow.
Like this now we got a question.
Wow, yeah.
We got a Roselle Catholic in there as well. He asking me about this, and so I said I'm both. I said even with Louis Farrakhan, he'll tell you right now he's been everywhere. He's been to Zimbabwe, Zaire, Germany, Russia. He said, but no matter where I go, there's one thing I always got in my pocket. He said, that's a round trip ticket.
Back to America.
He says, I am coming back. I'm not going nowhere to stay.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but because I think that we're the best country does not mean I'm disqualified for pointing out the things that I don't like about it.
That's
Why
true.
can't the best be better?
Yeah.
So I mean, and I support that theory. With him, as far as the with coaches, I think it's better than it's been, but I don't think that it's as good as it should be. If we're 70% of the players are in the NBA, 80% of the players, and we're only 20% of the coaches and only 10% of the front office, that's
a problem.
No, it's worse. It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong because they don't think that we can make the decisions. All of the things they want from us are physical and they're not mental, and I think that's terrible.
One more quick question before we get up out of here. Have you been offered a college head coaching job?
Never. I have never been offered a college Division I head job. Never.
No?
At this point in my life, I am not.
I know you're not even looking
in
for
any
it.
capacity. The 1 year I had, I learned an awful lot, but again, I have ADD. Literally, I'm certifiably, I got ADD. They over there laughing. Yellow bus, little round table, me, knees. Again, I told you I was 5'9" in the 7th grade, so my knees is hitting the table. I got all that, so I can only focus for, a while. And if I can't learn something in my patterned way, I'm not real good at it. But what I need around me is I'm a visionary. I can see things.
Okay.
And I need people around me that can manifest the vision. As long as I got people around me that can manifest the vision, then we're a great team.
Yeah.
But if I got to be the visionary and the manifester, I get tired. Especially now. That's it.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you. You're one of our best guests.
Okay.
We appreciate you being on, taking your time to be on our. Definitely one of our favorites.
To get you up here.
Yeah, we was begging.
I don't know why, but okay. Sound good.
Well, this was episode 5. Appreciate you.